There's only two ways to grow your med spa. You can either get more patients or you can make the ones that you have pay you more. That's it. And 9 out of 10 times, when you want to grow, the right thing to do is to get more customers, get cheaper leads, make more sales, and bring more in the door. But there is going to come a point in your business where you're getting so many leads and you have so many customers that the best way to double your business is not actually to get more sales, but it's to look at all of the holes that are in your business and ask, how can I patch these up? And how can I get this easy, low hanging fruit and stop losing money and double my business without spending an extra dollar more on ad spend? So in this video, I want to talk about 3 rules that I have for making more money from your leads without spending more. These are the exact same rules that we're using for our clients, which is helping them generate millions of dollars with our services. And I actually wanted to make this video because I was recently talking to a med spa owner who's doing about $6 million a year. And she had just, over the last few months, doubled her ad spend, but her revenue is basically the exact same. And so it was very clear to me that the constraint of her business was not a leads issue. They just didn't have a good system for turning those leads into appointments. And so that brings me onto the first rule, which is call your leads within 5 minutes. When I asked how quickly do you call your leads, she said, well, it's at least within 20 or 30 minutes. The next question was, are you calling on weekends and what are the hours? They weren't calling on the weekends, so the hours were 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I think probably the most underrated thing when it comes to running ads and actually getting those leads to convert is simply how quickly you call the leads. I would honestly say the biggest thing that gets our clients better results than most people who try to do something similar is this one thing. We're talking to leads 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, actually think about that. So your leads are doom scrolling on Instagram or TikTok. They're going through hundreds of reels every hour. And you think that they're going to remember your business that they saw for 5 seconds in 2 days from now. There's just no chance. And so the advantages that we get is that basically anybody who's awake during a normal hour of the day, like call it 8 a.m. all the way up to 12, if they opt in, they're going to get a response within 5 minutes, basically 100% of the time. A lot of people think this is going to cost them a lot to set up, but it's actually costing you so much more to not have it in place. Like, think about this. If you spend $10,000 per month on ads and that makes you, say, $50,000 back, hypothetically, if you wanted to make $100,000 and you say, okay, let me just go spend 20 grand, yeah, that might get you to your goal. But honestly, if you're not calling your leads in 5 minutes and you just went from spending $10,000 a month and then you added an assistant who could call the leads ASAP for like $2,000 per month, that alone might double your sales. And so, like, you think you can't afford it, but it's so much cheaper to do that than almost anything else. I'm pretty sure if you can get it down to 60 seconds to call a lead, then you would 4x your sales. So it's 391% if you can call all your leads within the first 60 seconds of them clicking your ad. But if you can't even imagine that yet, and you're currently doing it within like 24 hours right now, just get to 5 minutes. You can definitely do that. And the way that you're going to know if you're calling your leads quick enough is you're going to regularly hear them react on the phone like, wow, that was fast. You guys are fast. You're really on top of this.
Hi, April. This is Blair from Lips by Tiff. How are you?
Good. Look, that was really fast.
Hi, Jessica. This is Danielle calling from Terry AF Med Spa. I just saw that you clicked on our ad for Botox. How are you today?
Good. Yeah, that was like 30 seconds ago. Y'all are fast.
If you're not hearing that, you're calling too slowly. So that's the first rule. Call your leads ASAP. And honestly, if you did nothing else in this video besides that, that could double your business, right? Depending on how slowly you're calling your leads right now, that could be the thing that doubles your business without spending any more money on ads. Just call your leads in the first 5 minutes. Hey, real quick, if you have a med spa doing over $50,000 per month with your injectables, so your filler and your Botox, and you want to grow your business, we will run your ads, book all the appointments for you with a deposit directly into your calendar. Click below, the first link in the description, if you want to see more about this, and if it's a fit, I can talk to you soon. Second rule is doing more will basically always make you more money. This med spa that I was talking to, they had only about 10 or 15 ads running, and they were trying to figure out why they weren't growing, right? So they doubled their ad spend, but they didn't go up in sales. Yes, they had the speed to lead that wasn't that quick, but they also weren't making that many ads. I know because we have clients that are at a fifth of that size, only doing like 1 million a year, and they would have about 40 or 50 ads running at a time, and they only had 10 or 15, and they were much bigger. So I just saw this as a massive room for growth because they had such low volume in terms of how many ads they were making and running, despite being a lot bigger than the average med spa. So a lot of the times we want to think that there's something new that we have to do to grow, but it's rarely the case that doing something new is actually going to make you more money than just doing more of what's already working. Like almost never is it the case that that's actually going to be true. And like some of our clients will say like they're kind of bored of what's going on because we'll make a bunch of money 1 month and they're going to be like, okay, what's the strategy for the next month or the next quarter? And I'm like, all right, we made a bunch of money last month with these ads. What we're going to do next month is absolutely nothing new. We're just going to spend more money on what already worked. Cool. And I'll get messages saying, hey, we've been running the same promo for the last 3 or 4 months. Are we going to change it up? And I'm like, is it making money? Yeah. So why do we need to change it? Just spend more and make more money. If the goal of your business is to make money, then you do not need to change things because you're bored. The goal is not to be entertained by your business, it's to make money. If you want to be entertained, then go find some hobbies, but don't mess with your business on what's already working and what your customers like and your employees like because you got bored and you want to scratch an itch and try something new that's going to decrease the results of what's already working. And if you are going to try something new, just do a small test. Do it with 10 or 20% of the budget that you would have allocated to what's already working. A lot of times people want to test something and they're like, let me just completely kill the thing that was already working and let me just allocate 100% of our resources, our money, our time and attention to this brand new thing that has such a small chance of working because it's brand new and we've never done it before. So if you are going to test things, just do a small test, but most of your resources, your money and your attention should be going into how can we just do 10 or 100 times more of what's already working? Like how can we make 10 times more ads like our current winners? Or how can we make 10 times as much content like our current winners? If you have that itch to always do new things that are exciting, the way that you actually scratch that itch without breaking your business is you put all of that creative effort into your marketing. So you make more variations of your ads and you make more variations of your content. All the ideas that you can possibly think of, you can run all of them because those are not going to hurt your business, right? More people finding out about your stuff is not going to hurt you in any way, right? So if you want to change things there, you can go ahead and you can make all the content that you want. The more content you make, the more ads you make, the more people are going to know that you exist, the more money you're going to make. But if you were to use that itch to do something new in every single part of your business, then you would just destroy your business. If you say, oh, our landing page, which is converting fine, I feel like changing it up, so I'm just going to do it, and then that goes down, and you're like, oh, I'm going to add a new service, and then you split your attention, and now you have all these costs with this other thing. I need to hire somebody to actually run that machine. I need to take the training, and you're just taking your attention away from the things that are actually working and growing your business. So you don't just want to go and start 10 new random things in your business because you feel like it. Instead, you want to think of 10 new ways to advertise the one thing that's already working. So that's the second rule. Doing more will almost always make you more money than doing anything new. And if you are going to do something new, pick a new way to advertise the one thing that's working so that you can do more of that. For the third rule, I want to talk about increasing show rates. So no-shows are the silent killer in so many med spas that they overlook. They're always thinking, how can I get more in the door when there's so much falling out from the back? And the thing about no-shows is like, they already booked the appointment. They wanted to come see you. It's the lowest hanging fruit to get someone who already booked and gave you all the information to just show up versus go get a brand new customer from ads who doesn't know who you are to click the ad, opt in, get on the phone with them, and then book them in, and then go through the whole process over again from the beginning. Just get the person who already took all those steps and just give them the tiniest nudge to actually get them to show up to the appointment that they already told you that they wanted. So how do we fix the show rates? I wish, and you do too, that there was just one thing that we could look at that once we fix that, the show rates are fixed for good. But this is business and it's hard, and if it was easy, everybody would do it. So there's actually a checklist of 5, 10, sometimes even 15 things that you need to look at that are going to give you these small 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 12% lifts. And when you stack all of them up, then you can get double in your show rates. I'm actively testing some stuff to improve show rates right now. I'm not fully done testing it, but so far we've done some things that have increased our shows for one of our clients, and we've cut the no-shows by half. So we've pretty much doubled the show rate with what we implemented. The first thing that we do to improve the show rates, many people don't do this, is collecting a deposit. So I know some people say, oh, if I ask for a deposit, no one's going to book. In my experience, that hasn't been true. We've booked thousands of appointments every quarter for our clients, and we collect a deposit, usually just $50 to $100, and they don't seem to have an issue with paying that. I see a lot of med spas just ask for a card on file, and if they don't show up or they cancel, they just charge it. That's cool too. However, the only benefit you get there is if they don't show up to the appointment. With the deposit, however, whether they show or not, you're getting that benefit of getting that deposit. And it's really nice to get some money up front, because if you're having a patient, you're going to see them in 2 weeks and you already spent money on ads to get them. Well, if I get $100 back today immediately, guess what? I can just put that right back into ads and liquidate some of that ad spend and get another customer ASAP. Whereas the other person who got the card on file and is not going to see that patient for 2 weeks has to wait 2 weeks to make their money back from the ads, which means the person who makes the money back quicker is going to beat the other person in terms of advertising, because if you can grow faster and you can put money back in faster, you can keep scaling your ads and you're going to show up more times than the other person who has to wait longer. So number one for show rates is get the deposit. Number two is the availability. And this is actually the biggest impact, I think, on the show rate. And I could have started with this one, but the reason I don't start with this is because for you to have more availability, oftentimes you're going to need to hire more people. And while that is worth it, and you should do it, and it will be worth it because of the difference that you get from how many more people show up to their appointments because they actually got the best time for them, I don't put this first because a lot of people just aren't going to do it. They're either not going to be in office more days, or they're not going to hire somebody to be there, or they're not going to make their part-time nurses full-time because they don't know if they're going to book, and so they just won't do it. But if you actually did this one, you would get the biggest improvement in show rates, because the way people organize their calendar is they think, okay, the number of bookings that I'm getting, it's only enough to fill up 3 days in my calendar. So what am I going to do? I'm only going to open these 3 days in my calendar because that's all the patients I can take. Why would I open other days? And that's where you'd miss out on a bunch of money, because the people who are scheduling with you, yes, they scheduled, but that was not the best time for them. So that's why you're going to get a lot of cancellations and a lot of no-shows, because they just scheduled because that was what was available. But that wasn't the most convenient time for them. If they got the most convenient time, they would have actually showed up and you would have made more money. And that is why the more availability you have, even if each of those days is not stacked with appointments, you will make more money with a wider calendar with more sparse appointments than 2 days that are fully stacked and half of the appointments don't even show up. So add more availability, add weekends, add evenings if you can, and that might mean hiring, but I promise you, if you do that, the amount you'll make, the difference you'll make if you're getting decent appointments right now and you already have your lead flow covered, will make that cost, or rather investment, insignificant. So the last thing I'm going to be testing for the show rates, which has been working well for us right now, is confirmation calls, and we're also going to want to pull forward appointments. So what this means is the day before the appointment comes up, just call every single patient that's in the calendar and say, hey, just wanted to check in that you're actually going to show up for the appointment. Say that in a nice way, but call them. If they say yes, perfect, keep them there. If they say no, then mark that they're not going to show up so that it's not a surprise to you or your nurses. Or if they don't even pick up the call, then they're probably not going to show up, right? Call them twice, double dial, and text them. And if they don't pick up, they don't respond, and they haven't marked that they're going to show up in the calendar, they're probably not going to show up. So what you can do there is one of two things. You can just leave the spot there and at least be aware that they're not going to show up, or you can go call somebody else who is scheduled for another day and you can pull them forward. So you can say, hey, we got a cancellation, and if you want to come in, you can come in. What that will actually do is you can start filling in all of these empty spots in your calendar, and your nurses, or you if you're the injector, will actually be making way more money per unit of time, because all these empty spots will get filled in and anyone who's not going to show you already know in advance because you call to confirm it. And I believe that's going to make you a lot more money than if you just wait and guess and hope that that person's going to show up even though they ghosted your last reminder. There's a lot more things you can do to improve the show rates, and I'm going to be working on them. I'll probably make a full video just about this topic. But those 3 are the ones that I'm doing right now, which is the deposits, the confirmation calls, and the other one that I forgot. So that's everything for this video. Hopefully you found it useful. Lastly, if you have a med spa and it's doing at least $500,000 per year, specifically from your injectable services, so your filler and your Botox services, and you want to grow and make more money, click the first link in the description, fill in some information about your business, see if it's a fit. And if it is, I'll speak to you soon, and hopefully we can help you out.